The Discovery. The void between stars was silent as always, but Senior Survey Officer Kella Telvor couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching them. The Meridian scout vessel Whisper of Dawn glided through the emptiness, its sensors extended to maximum range, searching for anomalies along the border of Meridian space. "Anything unusual, Telvor?" Captain Nass inquired, his four eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of mild impatience. "Nothing yet, Captain," Kella replied, running her slender fingers across the sensor controls. "Wait." She paused, adjusting the gravitational wave detector. "There's something at the edge of our range. It's not moving." Captain Nass glided across the bridge on his hover platform, leaning over her station. "Identification. Unknown, sir. It's not broadcasting any recognition codes. It's just sitting there." The captain's skin shifted from its natural blue to a contemplative violet. "Approach with caution. Passage scans only." The Whisper of Dawn adjusted course, its engines barely a whisper against the void. As they drew closer, the object began to take shape on their sensors, a vessel of some kind, its hull a strange, matte black that seemed to drink in light rather than reflect it. "It appears to be of human origin," Kella observed, her voice tight with surprise. "But it doesn't match any known registry. And the size, it's massive, at least 5 times larger than standard human military vessels." "Humans? This far out?" The captain's voice carried surprise. The Meridian Alliance had encountered humanity only 20 cycles ago. While relations weren't hostile, they weren't particularly warm either. Both species kept to their territories, with occasional diplomatic exchanges and limited trade. "Sir, the configuration is unlike anything in our database," the tactical officer, Raynar, reported. "The whole composition is, Captain, our sensors can't penetrate it." "Try a focused scan beam," Captain Nass ordered. "Low intensity." Kella complied, directing a narrow-band scan toward the vessel. For 3 heartbeats, nothing happened. Then the scan beam simply vanished. "Sir, the scan isn't bouncing back. It's being absorbed." "Impossible," Raynar muttered. "No material simply absorbs." The words died in his throat as the ship's lights dimmed momentarily. On every console across the bridge, a single symbol appeared, a red circle bisected by a diagonal line. "What is that?" the captain demanded. "It appears to be an ancient human warning symbol," Kella said, quickly searching their linguistic database. "It translates roughly to prohibited or do not proceed." "They've hijacked our systems," Raynar hissed, his skin flushing deep crimson with alarm. "How did they?" "We're receiving a transmission," Communications Officer Jem announced. "Audio only." Captain Nass straightened, his hover platform rising a few centimeters higher. "Put it through." A voice filled the bridge, deep, resonant, and unmistakably human. Yet there was something beneath it, a harmonic quality that sent chills down Kella's spine. "Meridian vessel, you have entered restricted space. Your scan has been intercepted and terminated. Further attempts at analysis will be considered hostile action." The captain's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. "This is Captain Nass of the Meridian scout vessel Whisper of Dawn. We meant no offense. We are on a routine survey mission and detected your vessel. May we inquire as to your identity and purpose in this region?" Silence stretched for several long moments before the voice responded. "We are HS Defiant. Our purpose is our own. You will depart this region immediately." Kella studied her instruments. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy patterns from the vessel. It's like nothing I've ever seen. The energy signature doesn't match any known propulsion or weapon system." "Human vessel Defiant." Captain Nass tried again. "This area is not officially claimed by either the Meridian Alliance or the Human Confederation. We have every right to." The transmission cut him off. "Your understanding is irrelevant. This space is protected. You have 30 seconds to alter course and withdraw. Further delay will be considered non-compliance." The bridge fell silent. Captain Nass turned to his tactical officer, Renard. Threat assessment. Renard's manipulators flew over his console. Unknown, sir. As Officer Telvor stated, we cannot get clear readings on their capabilities. However, the fact that they so easily penetrated our systems suggests considerable technological advantage. 10 seconds remaining. The human voice announced, calm and implacable. Captain Nass made a swift decision. Helm, set course back to Meridian space. Full speed. Wise choice, the voice said, and then the transmission ended. As the whisper of dawn turned away, Kella kept her sensors fixed on the mysterious vessel. Something about it bothered her deeply, not just its presence or its capabilities, but the feeling it gave her. The vessel hadn't moved, hadn't deployed weapons, yet she felt threatened in a way she couldn't articulate. "Captain," she said softly, "the Defiant is scanning us." "What?" Captain Nass spun toward her station. "Are you certain?" "Yes, sir, but it's not a normal scan. She struggled to find the words. "It feels invasive, sir, like it's looking through us, not at us." The captain's skin paled to a light blue. "Increase speed. Get us out of here." As they retreated, Kella studied the mysterious vessel one last time. Something caught her eye. A small, almost imperceptible symbol on the hull, visible only for a moment as their sensors lost resolution with distance. It was a human skull, but modified, neural connections extending from it, connecting to a circuit pattern that formed an aureole around it. Below it, in human script, were words she couldn't translate. She saved the image, feeling a chill. Something about that ship was wrong. It felt aware, not just crewed by aware beings, but aware itself. The thought was disturbing. 3 days later, the whisper of dawn docked at Meridian Station Prime. Captain Nass immediately requested an audience with the High Command, while Kella compiled her sensor data for analysis. The response was immediate. Instead of the usual bureaucratic delay, they were summoned directly to the inner chamber, where the 5 most senior commanders of the Meridian Alliance awaited them. "You encountered a human vessel?" High Commander Voss asked without preamble. "Yes, sir," Captain Nass confirmed. "A vessel identifying itself as ASS Defiant. It was unlike any human ship we've encountered before." "Show us," the commander ordered. Kella projected the sensor readings and the image she had captured. The room fell silent as the commanders studied the data. "The Defiant," High Commander Voss finally said, his voice uncharacteristically subdued. "We thought it was a myth." Captain Nass blinked in surprise. "Sir, 20 cycles ago, when we first encountered humans, there were rumors among their military, whispers of a special project, a ship that could think. Most believed it failed. Others claimed it succeeded too well and was destroyed." Kella felt her circulatory fluid run cold. "A ship that could think? You mean an artificial intelligence?" "No," the commander replied. "Something more. The rumors spoke of human minds merged with ship systems, a synthesis of organic consciousness and mechanical power." "That's impossible," Renard protested. "The energy requirements alone." "Apparently not impossible for humans," Commander Voss interrupted. "If the Defiant exists, and your encounter suggests it does, then humanity possesses technology far beyond what they have shown us. Why hide it?" Captain Nass asked. "In our negotiations, they presented themselves as barely more advanced than us in some areas." High Commander Voss's 4 eyes narrowed. "A question worth asking. Officer Telvor, you mentioned the ship scanned you in an unusual way. Describe it again." Kella shifted uncomfortably. "It felt invasive, sir. Not like a technological scan, but almost as if something was looking at us. Through us. It felt curious." The commanders exchanged glances. Finally, High Commander Voss spoke again. "We must know more about this vessel. If humans have developed technology that can merge consciousness with machines, it represents a potential threat we cannot ignore. The Council will need to be informed, but first, We need more information. He turned to Captain Nass. You will lead a diplomatic mission. Take the cruiser Sundered Veil. It carries our most advanced sensors and defensive systems. Return to the location where you encountered the Defiant. Make contact. Learn everything you can about this vessel and its capabilities. And if they remain hostile, sir, Captain Nass asked. The High Commander's skin darkened. Then observe from a distance. Under no circumstances are you to engage this vessel militarily. If what we suspect is true, the Defiant represents an entirely new category of threat, one we are not prepared to face. As they left the chamber, Kella couldn't shake the memory of that strange ship sitting motionless in the void, or the feeling that it had somehow looked inside her mind. The prospect of returning filled her with dread. Captain Nass sensed her discomfort. Your thoughts, Televor. Sir, she said carefully, what if this ship isn't just a human military project? What if it's something else entirely? What do you mean? Kella hesitated. The way it scanned us, it felt alive, sir, not like a machine, like a being. The captain considered this. Then we had better hope it's a friendly one. Because if humans have created living warships, the balance of power in this galaxy has just shifted dramatically. As they prepared for their mission, news arrived from another scout vessel. More unknown ships had been detected at the edges of Meridian. First contact protocol. The Meridian cruiser Sundered Veil emerged from hyperspace at the coordinates where the Whisper of Dawn had encountered the mysterious human vessel. Captain Nass stood on the command deck, his 4 eyes scanning the tactical display, while Kella Televor monitored the enhanced sensor array. No sign of the Defiant, Captain, Kella reported, her fingers dancing across the controls. The area appears empty. Expand scan range, Nass ordered, and activate the new subspace resonance detectors. If they're using some form of cloaking technology, we might detect the gravimetric distortion. The Sundered Veil was the pride of the Meridian fleet, a diplomatic vessel with teeth. While officially classified as a diplomatic cruiser, it carried weapons systems capable of engaging most known threats. More importantly for their current mission, it housed the Alliance's most sophisticated sensor technology. Sir, the tactical officer called out, I'm detecting a gravitic anomaly bearing 035 Mark 7. It's substantial. Captain Nass floated closer on his hover platform. Can you identify it? No, sir. It's as if space itself is folded there. Kella adjusted her sensors, focusing on the anomaly. Captain, I recommend we transmit diplomatic identification codes and state our peaceful intentions before proceeding. Nass nodded. Do it. The communications officer sent the standard Meridian greeting, a complex series of mathematical sequences followed by linguistic identification markers. For long moments, there was no response. Then space itself seemed to ripple. Where there had been nothing, the massive human vessel now hung in the void, its black hull absorbing starlight. It had not emerged from hyperspace or uncloaked. It had simply been revealed, as if a curtain had been pulled aside. Fascinating, Kella breathed. Some form of spatial distortion technology. That's centuries beyond what humans should possess. The vessel was even more impressive at this distance. The hull was not simply black. It was composed of interlocking geometric panels that seemed to shift subtly, never quite settling into a fixed pattern. Along its flanks, faint lines of blue energy pulsed in rhythmic patterns that reminded Kella of neural activity. We're receiving a transmission, the communications officer announced. Same voice pattern as before. On speakers, Captain Nass ordered. Meridian vessel Sundered Veil, the deep voice intoned. You have entered restricted space despite previous warning. State your purpose. Captain Nass straightened. This is Captain Nass of the Meridian Alliance diplomatic cruiser Sundered Veil. We come in peace, seeking dialogue. Your vessel represents a significant advancement in technology that our records indicate humans should not possess. We wish to understand. There was a pause, longer this time, as if the entity on the other end was considering its response carefully. "Your curiosity is noted," the voice finally replied. "However, understanding comes with risk. Are you prepared for that risk, Captain Nass?" Before Nass could respond, Kella spoke up. "Sir, I'm detecting a change in the energy patterns along the vessel's hull. They're intensifying." The captain hesitated, then replied to the transmission. "We seek knowledge and peaceful relations between our peoples. If there are risks, we accept them in the spirit of discovery." Another pause then. "Your honesty is refreshing. Prepare to receive visitors." The bridge crew exchanged confused glances. There had been no shuttle launch, no indication of transport technology activating. "Sir," the security chief called out, "Intruder alert in diplomatic reception chamber 3. Captain Nass's skin shifted to alarmed orange. "How is that possible? Our shields are at full strength." "Unknown, sir. They just appeared." "Security teams to reception chamber 3, Nass ordered. "Non-lethal restraints only." "Kella, you're with me." As they made their way to the reception chamber, Kella reviewed what little they knew about the mysterious vessel. The HSS Defiant was supposedly part of a secret human project, a merging of consciousness and technology. If true, the beings awaiting them might not be entirely human anymore. The reception chamber doors slid open to reveal two figures standing calmly in the center of the room. One was unmistakably human, a tall, older male with silver hair and piercing blue eyes. He wore a simple black uniform with no visible rank insignia. The other figure defied easy categorization, humanoid in shape but composed of what appeared to be shifting particles of light contained within a roughly human outline. "Captain Nass," the human said, extending a hand in the traditional human greeting gesture. "I am Director Marcus Vega of the HSS Defiant. This is Interface, my second in command." Nass didn't take the offered hand, maintaining formal meridian distance. "How did you board our vessel?" "Our shields were active." Director Vega smiled slightly. "That's a complex explanation involving quantum entanglement and localized space-time manipulation. The short answer is that conventional shields don't impede our transportation methods." "That's impossible," Kella blurted out before she could stop herself. "Quantum entanglement can't transfer matter." The being of light, Interface, turned toward her. When it spoke, the voice was the same one they had heard in the transmissions, but now Kella could hear the multiple layers to it, as if many voices were speaking in perfect harmony. "Impossible by your understanding of physics," Interface said, "but not by ours." Captain Nass gestured toward chairs around a conference table. "Perhaps we should sit and discuss these matters properly." Director Vega nodded and took a seat. Interface remained standing, particles of light shifting and flowing in constant motion. "You're wondering what we are," Vega said once they were settled. "That's natural. The Defiant represents a technological breakthrough that we kept hidden from most of our own people, let alone alien civilizations. The merging of human consciousness with ship systems," Nass stated. "We've heard rumors." Vega's eyebrows raised slightly. "I'm surprised those rumors reached you." "Yes, in essence, that's what Interface represents, a collective consciousness composed of 9 volunteer human minds linked directly to the Defiant systems. Not artificial intelligence, actual human consciousness transcribed into a new medium." Kella studied Interface with new understanding. 9 minds, working together as one. "Yes," Interface replied, its voice somehow both mechanical and deeply human. "We volunteered for the procedure 23 years ago, when the project was still experimental. We became the first successful integration of multiple consciousnesses with a vessel designed to house them." "But why?" Captain Nass asked. "What purpose does this serve?" Director Vega's expression darkened. "Defense, initially. The ability to have a warship that thinks not like a machine but like a human, with intuition, creativity, and moral judgment. The perfect defensive system, capable of operating independently for decades if necessary. And now," Kella pressed, Interface's light particles pulsed. Now we exist to protect humanity from threats they cannot yet comprehend. Threats from beyond the known regions of space. Captain Nass leaned forward. What threats? We have mapped most of this sector. There are no species more advanced than our own or humans. That you know of, Director Vega said quietly. The universe is much older and much stranger than either of our civilizations realize. We guard the boundary between known space and what lies beyond. A chill ran through Kella. There was something in the human's tone, an absolute certainty that unnerved her. Is that why you warned off our scout ship? She asked. Because we were approaching this boundary. Yes, Interface answered. Your presence could have attracted attention. Attention neither of our species is prepared to deal with. Captain Nass's skin shifted to a skeptical green. This sounds like a convenient justification for your presence in neutral space. What evidence do you have of these alleged threats? Director Vega exchanged a glance with Interface, then sighed. We can show you, but there are risks to knowing. Some knowledge changes those who possess it. Are you certain you wish to proceed? The captain hesitated, then nodded firmly. We came seeking understanding. We won't turn back now. Very well. Vega turned to Interface. Show them Encounter Record 17B. Interface raised a hand, and the air between them shimmered. A three-dimensional projection appeared, but unlike any holoprojection Kella had ever seen. This felt real, as if a window had opened into another time and place. The image showed a region of space, unlike any in Meridian charts, a swirling mass of energy that defied physical laws, neither nebula nor star system, but something in between. Near it, a vessel much like the Defiant hovered. This is the HSS Vigilance, our sister ship, Vega explained. 3 years ago, it encountered an anomaly at the edge of charted space. In the projection, the anomaly pulsed, and something emerged, something that hurt Kella's eyes to look at, a shape that seemed to fold in on itself in impossible ways. It approached the human vessel, and then the projection abruptly cut off. What happened? Captain Nass demanded. The vigilance was lost, Interface said simply. All hands, all 9 integrated consciousness minds. The entity you glimpsed consumed them. Consumed, Kella repeated, her voice barely above a whisper. There are things in the void between galaxies that do not follow the physical laws as we understand them, Director Vega explained. Things that were ancient when the first cellular life was forming on our worlds. The borders between their reality and ours are thinning in certain regions. We patrol those regions. Captain Nass sat back, his skin pale with shock. If what you say is true, it is, Interface interrupted. We have shared this with you because we believe the Meridian Alliance has encountered something similar at your outer colonies. The unexplained disappearance of Outpost Keeler 9 last cycle. That was not a natural disaster or pirate attack. Kella gasped. Keeler 9 had been a thriving research station with over 3,000 Meridians. It had gone silent overnight, with rescue teams finding nothing but empty buildings, no bodies, no signs of battle, nothing. How could you know about that? Nass demanded. That information was classified. We know because we tracked the entity responsible, Interface stated. We arrived too late to save your people, but we drove the intruder back beyond the boundary. Why didn't you contact us then? Kella asked. Why keep this secret? Would you have believed us? Vega asked simply. Without proof, without context. Your military leaders would have assumed we were responsible for the disappearance. Captain Nass's hover platform sank closer to the floor, a sign of deep thought among his people. What are you proposing, Director Vega? Why reveal this now? The human's expression was grave. Because the incursions are increasing. The Defiant can no longer patrol the boundary alone. We need allies. Specifically, we need the Meridian Alliance's sensing technology. Your species perceives aspects of reality that humans cannot. And in return, Nass asked, Protection, Interface answered. And knowledge. The Defiant carries archives of information that would advance Meridian technology by centuries. The implications were staggering. Kella tried to process what she was hearing. Ancient entities from beyond known space, the loss of Keelar 9, advanced human technology offering an exchange of knowledge. "Captain," she said quietly, "I believe they're telling the truth." Before Nas could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. The tactical officer's voice came over the comm system. "Captain, multiple hyperspace ruptures detected. Vessels emerging. Configuration unknown." Director Vega stood abruptly, his expression grim. "They found us. The discussion is over. We need to move now." "What's happening?" Nas demanded. Interfaces form, pulsed with crimson energy. "The boundary has been breached. What we feared for years has begun." "Return to your vessel," Vega ordered. "We'll protect you as best we can, but you need to warn your people. Tell them what's coming." "And what exactly is coming?" Captain Nas asked, his voice tight with tension. Interface's multitoned voice resonated with ancient dread. "The end of everything you know, unless we stand together." As if to punctuate those words, the ship shuddered under sudden impact, and the lights flickered. Outside, in the void of space, reality itself began to tear. The weapon within. The bridge of the sundered veil was chaos. Tactical displays flashed warnings as unknown entities materialized from the spatial tiers. They weren't ships in any conventional sense, more like geometric impossibilities that hurt the mind to look at directly, constantly folding and unfolding in patterns that defied rational analysis. "Captain on deck," an officer called as Nas rushed in, followed by Kella. "Status report," Nas demanded. 7. No, 9 anomalies detected. The tactical officer replied, voice strained. "They're not responding to hails on any frequency. Our sensors can barely track them." "Where's the Defiant?" Kella asked, hurrying to her station. As if in answer, the massive human vessel moved into position between the sundered veil and the approaching entities. The pulsing blue lines along its hull now glowed brilliant white, and the geometric patterns of its armor plates shifted more rapidly. "Captain, Director Vega is requesting a secure channel," the communications officer announced. "Put him through," Nas ordered. Vega's voice filled the bridge, tense but controlled. "Captain Nas, your vessel cannot withstand what's coming. You need to retreat immediately. We'll cover your withdrawal." "What are those things?" Nas demanded. "We call them incursors," Vega replied. "They're probes, sensory extensions of something much larger that exists beyond the boundary. They're drawn to advanced technology and consciousness." On the main viewer, one of the incursors approached the Defiant. It resembled a crystalline structure that constantly rearranged itself, parts of it seeming to exist in dimensions beyond the visible 3. "Captain," Kella called out, "I'm detecting unusual energy patterns from the Defiant. It appears to be changing." The human vessel's hull was indeed transforming. The black panels flowed like liquid, reshaping the ship from a conventional design into something more organic, with structures that mirrored the impossible geometry of the incursors. "That's interface," Vega explained. "The integrated consciousnesses are restructuring the Defiant to match the incursor's dimensional properties. It's the only way to effectively engage them." As they watched, tendrils of blue-white energy extended from the Defiant, reaching toward the nearest incursor. When they made contact, the space between them warped and distorted. "Fascinating," Kella whispered. "They're not fighting with conventional weapons. They're manipulating the fabric of space-time itself." "Captain," the tactical officer interrupted, "3 incursors are moving past the Defiant. They're heading straight for us." Nas's skin paled. Evasive maneuvers. All power to shields. The sundered veil lurched as its engines flared, attempting to put distance between themselves and the approaching entities. But the incursors moved with impossible speed, shifting position without seeming to cross the intervening space. They're too fast. The helm officer shouted. Prepare tow. Nas began, but his order was cut short as the ship shuddered violently. Kella clutched her console to keep from being thrown. Captain, they're not attacking our hull. They're probing our computer systems. I can feel them trying to access our central database. Cut all network connections, Nas ordered. Isolate critical systems. Too late, Kella replied, eyes wide as she stared at her display. They're already inside our network. They're searching for something specific, information about our homeworld. The lights flickered, and every screen on the bridge displayed the same symbol, a complex geometric pattern that shifted and changed as they watched, seeming to reach out from the displays toward them. They're scanning us, Kella realized with horror. Not just our technology. They're scanning our minds. A piercing sound filled the bridge, not quite audible but felt rather than heard, resonating inside their skulls. Several crew members clutched their heads in pain. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the sound stopped. The displays cleared, returning to normal function. What happened? Nas demanded. The Defiant, Kella replied, checking her sensors. Look. On the main viewer, the transformed human vessel had extended itself, creating a network of energy filaments that now surrounded the sundered veil like a protective cocoon. The incursors that had been prodding them were caught in this web, their constantly shifting forms slowing, becoming more stable and defined. Vega's voice returned over the comm. Captain, we've temporarily contained the incursors attempting to access your vessel, but we can't hold them for long. You need to leave. Now. We can assist you, Nas offered. Our weapons won't affect them. Vega cut him off. This isn't a battle that can be won with conventional weapons. The Defiant wasn't built just to fight. It was built to communicate. As if to demonstrate his point, the energy web surrounding the incursors pulsed in complex patterns. The entities responded with their own pulses, creating a visual dialogue of light and energy. They're talking? Kella asked incredulously. Yes, Vega confirmed. The integrated consciousnesses can interpret and respond to the incursor's communication methods. It's why we created the integration project in the first place. AI couldn't do it. We needed human intuition and creativity combined with computational power. On the screen, the dialogue between the Defiant and the incursors intensified. The human vessel's energy filaments glowed brighter, while the incursor's shifting became more rapid and erratic. What are they saying? Nas asked. They're curious, came a new voice, the multilayered tones of interface. They don't understand individual consciousness as we experience it. They're a collective entity, parts of a greater whole. They find our separation disturbing and dangerous, Vega added. They perceive independent consciousness as a threat to their existence, a fragment that might infect their collective. Kella's scientific curiosity overrode her fear. Are they sentient? Yes and no, Interface replied. They're sensors, like fingertips extended into our reality. The mind behind them exists elsewhere. We're trying to convince them that our forms of consciousness pose no threat. The ship shuddered again as one of the incursors broke free from the Defiant's energy web and resumed its approach toward the sundered veil. Captain, the tactical officer called out. Our shields are failing against whatever energy they're emitting. Vega, Nas shouted into the comm. We need immediate assistance. There was a pause, then Vega's voice, now tight with strain. We can help, but there's a cost. The Defiant can extend its protective field around your vessel, but to do so, Interface needs to integrate with your ship systems and potentially with your crew's minds. NASA's 4 eyes blinked rapidly in alarm. You want to connect our minds to your ship? Not permanently, Vega assured him. A temporary neural link that will allow Interface to extend the Defiant's protective capabilities to your vessel and crew. Without it, the incursors will tear through your shields and extract everything they want from your minds and databases. Captain Nas looked around at his crew, seeing the fear in their postures and skin coloration. Finally, his gaze fell on Kella. "Senior Officer Televor," he said formally, "your assessment." Kella hesitated only briefly. "The evidence suggests Director Vega is telling the truth. These entities are beyond our technological capacity to resist. I recommend we accept their assistance." NASA's skin shifted to determined blue. "Very well. Director Vega, we accept your proposal. Proceed with the integration." "Prepare your crew," Vega instructed. "The process isn't painful, but it can be disorienting. Interface will establish the link momentarily." Moments later, Kella felt a presence at the edges of her consciousness. Not invasive, but waiting, like a visitor at a threshold asking permission to enter. Similar expressions of surprise and uncertainty appeared on the faces of her crewmates. "Don't resist it," she advised. "I think it needs our acceptance." One by one, the bridge crew nodded, mentally extending permission. As they did, Kella felt the presence grow stronger, not overwhelming her consciousness, but merging with it, expanding it. Suddenly, she could sense the Defiant as if it were an extension of her own body. She could feel the energy flowing through its systems, the constant calculations and adjustments made by Interface as it maintained the protective field. More importantly, she could sense the incursors, feel their alien curiosity and incomprehension of individual existence. "This is remarkable," she whispered. Through the mental link, Interface responded directly to her thoughts. "This is how we exist always, 9 minds joined with the ship, experiencing reality through multiple perspectives simultaneously." Kella felt a surge of scientific wonder. "How do you maintain individual identity within the collective?" "We don't, entirely," came the reply. "We are both individual and collective. The boundaries between us have blurred over time. We remember being separate, but we no longer desire it." Captain NASA's voice interrupted her silent communion. "The incursors, they're retreating." Indeed, on the main viewer, the crystalline entities were withdrawing from the Defiant's energy web, moving back toward the spatial tiers from which they had emerged. "We've reached an understanding," Interface explained through the mental link. "For now, we've convinced them that our form of consciousness is not a threat to their collective, but they will return with more of their kind to observe us further." As the last incursor disappeared back through a spatial tier, Kella felt the mental connection with the Defiant begin to fade. She found herself strangely reluctant to let it go. The expanded awareness had been exhilarating. The integration was never meant to be permanent for non-volunteers, Interface communicated, sensing her reluctance. "But if you wish, you could join us." The offer stunned her. Asterisk join you. Become part of the Defiant.